Hello and welcome back. Today's video will focus on canceling. Canceling is performed usually with multiplication and division of fractions. To refresh your memory, when you multiply fractions, you can multiply the numerators together to obtain the numerator of the product. You could then multiply the denominators of your fractions to obtain the denominator of the product. To divide fractions, you multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So as you can see, multiplication is pretty important when it comes to fractions, since both multiplication and division both result in multiplication. Let's get back to canceling. In canceling, you want to look at the numerator of one fraction and the denominator of a second fraction, and then divide both by a common factor to simplify your future multiplication steps. You can do this with both sets of one numerator and a second fraction's denominator. In this case, we see both pairs highlighted in different colors. One pair is in green, the other pair is in yellow. In the case of our green pair, 7 and 17, the greatest common factor is 1, so they remain the same. For 6 and 8, the greatest common factor between them is 2. So we divide each number by 2. So we write 6 divided by 2 up here, and 8 divided by 2 down here. We can rewrite this, of course. So now we see 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. And we forgot the one at 17. But there it is. We could then multiply. We know the numerator is 7 times 3. And our denominator is 4 times 17. Which means our end product is 21 over 68. Why does this work? Well, if we start back again with 7 over 8 times 6 over 17, our numerator should be equal to 7 times 6, and our denominator should be 8 times 17. Because the 7 times 6 will be commutative, and this 8 times 17 will be commutative, meaning that the order will not matter in either of these pairs. This means that we could also say that this is equal to 6 times 7 over 8 times 17. 6 times 7 over 17 times 8. Or even 7 times 6 over 17 times 8. And from this, we can write new expressions where we are multiplying fractions. So, from the first new expression, we can see that this should be equal to 6 over 8 times 7 over 17. The second is 6 over 17 times 7 over 8. And the third one is 7 over 17 times 6 over 8. We see our original expression and this blue expression, aka our second new expression, also exhibit the commutative property in which 7/8 and 6/17 have swap places. Our first new expression and our third new expression also show this property. Let's take a closer look at 6 over 8 times 7 over 17. Six over 8 can be reduced I have to identify the greatest common factor of 6 and 8, which is 2. So 6 over 2 over 8 over 2 will give us 3 over 4, which is equal to 6 over 8. So that means we can rewrite this 6 over 8 times 7 over 17 as 3 over 4 times 7 over 17. We know the numerator of our product should be 3 times 7, and the denominator of the product should be 4 times 17. If you notice, we see all these numbers again up above. Three here, times 7 here. And then we have 4, 17, and 17. And in fact, from the work we did up here, showing that this multiplication is commutative and this multiplication is commutative, we can then say that 3 times 7 all over 4 times 17 is equal to 7 times 3 over 4 times 17. In both cases here, our numerator is 21 and the denominator is 68. So really, canceling is similar to writing a new expression that's equal to our original expression. Using all the same pieces. That allows us to reduce before we multiply. I hope this video has increased your understanding of canceling and has made some of the methods behind it make more sense. One last thing to mention is that in a question like 7 over 8 times 6 over 17, you likely won't see the divisions that are done up here. Instead, what you will see more oftentimes is you'll see someone cross out the values that are being canceled and write out the quotient of each quantity divided by the greatest common factor. So in this case, here we're going to write next to the 6 the quotient of 6 divided by 2, which is just 3. Down here, we write the quotient of 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And then typically you'll see people proceed with multiplication from there. So 7 times 3 is 21, and 4 times 17 is 68. Thank you for joining me today on a deeper dive into canceling. Hope to see you next time. And please like and subscribe for more content on mathematics. Mention things you'd like to see in the comments. Goodbye.